My name is Echo Fang Grey Wolf. I'm out of character, but I am dressed as Miles Morales right now. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about how being mixed actually works on a scientific level, not a microscopic level, because I'm not that damn intelligent, but on a biological and a scientific level and a genetic level, so that I can explain how some superheroes, aka Blade, is not actually half vampire. He's actually enhanced human, but not vampire. Okay, so I'm going to remove this mask now. You're going to see all my hideousness. And just in case you don't know, I'm actually a person of mixed ethnicity. That being part Native American, aka Cherokee, and also part black and part white. So I am 1000% a human mutt. But that's okay. I've been called a lot worse in my day. Now, let's get to it, shall we? Okay, so 9 times out of 10, they claim, at least, in the movie verse, that the X gene or mutant gene comes from the daddy side of the family. I have no proof to contest that for the actual Marvel universe versus the MCU, but for way back in the day when the X-Men first came and in X-Men 2, they blamed Bobby's dad for having the X gene, or the XX gene, or the XXX gene that makes people mutants. Fun fact, Bobby Drake is an only child, to my knowledge. Unless you go into the Bobby Drake from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, who has a sister named Lightwave, but we won't go there. Anyhow, so this is how this works. One of my parents had two parents that were not the same biologically or ethnicity or culturally. So one of my great grandfathers was white and one of my grandfathers was black. One of my grandmothers was full-blooded Native American. And her daughter, who married a black man, who had my father, who had me, making my father mixed Native and mixed black. Okay? Now on the other side of the track, my white grandfather met a black lady who had my mother's dad who looked white, which is why my mom looks white. My mother's mother is either half Native or all Native. We're not sure because she was adopted. So that's kind of how we got here. And now you know how people are mixed. So if my mom and my dad are both mixed, I'm mixed. But our birth certificates have the word Negro written on it. Because way back in that day, they didn't classify others by giving them names outside of mulatto. So when I Googled for my grandmother on my daddy's side, because they stole Native American identities, they have her as mulatto. But she's not fucking mulatto. She was Cherokee. There we go. We got that part out of the way. Did you get all that? Because biologically, you have a white man and a black woman. They make a mixed baby that's half black, half white, who made a baby that's my mom. We have a black man and a Native American woman who made a baby who's half black and who's half Native. That's my dad. Then they meet. And 48 years later, here the fuck I am. I hope that was perfectly put for you. So now let's get to the guts and glory of this video. How are you half human and half alien, which makes you 1, a mutant, and 2, a hybrid human? So you got classifications. If you were to look at Adam X, who is the son of Ken and the son of Scott Summers' mother, Catherine, he would be a hybrid human. But he would also be a mutant because the Summers clans have some strong mutant genes in them. Which means Corsair, who is not a mutant, has 3 sons. Scott Summers, Alex Summers, and Vulcan, who I can't remember what his last... Gabriel. Gabriel Summers is his name. Unless all that shit's been retconned. Now, Adam X is Catherine's son. She is not Corsair's. He is not Corsair's child, but he is connected to the Summers because his mother was Catherine Summers. So between the Summers and whatever Catherine's maiden name was, there's some good mutant DNA in there. But if it all came from the Summer side, it must have skipped Corsair and smacked Cyclops dead in the eye. And it smacked Havoc dead in the hands. And then everything that Vulcan can do. Because Vulcan's like the only, out of the 3 Summers children, male Summers, he's an Omega Level Mutant. But little Cable, when he was Nathan, Charles, Xavier, Dayspring, Summers, would almost be an Omega Level Mutant, but because of the legacy virus, he didn't get to be an Omega Level Mutant because the legacy virus was killing him. And if you go with Nate Gray, who technically could be a Summers, but not really a Summers, where you go with Jean Summers, this is why I stopped reading the X-Men, by the way, they're all mutants, but Jean or Rachel Summers or Hope Summers, all of them have some of the Phoenix in them on some level or another, where they are able to hold the Phoenix as host bodies. So you see where that's going. And technically, Jean Grey's only child would probably be Nate Gray or Rachel Summers, because Cable is the son of a clone named Madeline Pryor, who is a clone of Jean Grey, who is a mutant, which is why, since both of his parents are mutants, he's a mutant. Sometimes that doesn't happen at all. And sometimes mutants like Franklin Richards exist, who's an Omega Level mutant who discovered his powers at the age of fucking 3. Unless that's been retconned. You will hear that phrase a lot in this video. Now let's go to black mutants, like Storm. Storm is a mutant. She was abandoned and orphaned, but she was prophesied because of her blonde hair, which is all natural, that she was actually the goddess of thunder. And at one point in time, Marvel had it said that she would be marrying Thor, and then she would be marrying Forge, and then she wound up marrying Black Panther. It's a whole clusterfuck of shit. When they broke her and Forge up, I was done. Because Forge was like, if Forge and Storm get married, they could have me. Because he's native, and she's black, and I could be born. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm part white. Anyway, that doesn't matter. We can still have me. We can rewrite that whole history. But, you know, Storm was going to say yes. Forge thought she was going to say no. So he pretty much dumped her, and he left and went off and started having a relationship with Mystique. And Mystique used to fuck with him all the time by changing into Storm and teasing him. It was just really fucked up. And now you see why I stopped reading the X-Men, X-Factor, X-Force. And then they went on that writer's strike and changed the titles to Exiles and all this other shit. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. So, yeah. I love my X-Men because thanks to them and Spider-Man and Jonah Hex, I learned how to read. But when they started doing all this shit, I really wished I couldn't read. Because then I could still at least enjoy the pictures. But no, they totally fucked that shit up. Anyway, so, a lot of people are thinking that Blade is half vampire and half human. And I sadly have to bust your bubble. Blade is not half vampire at all. See, if you go by the original story, and if you go by science and biologically, this is how this works. Blade's mom was pregnant with Blade, and she got attacked by Deacon Frost. Deacon Frost bit Blade's mom, and she went into labor, and his enzymes from the bite got into the embryonic sac inside of her belly, mutating Blade, giving him all the vampire strength and none of their weaknesses, i.e. he's the Daywalker. But Blade is not half vampire. He is enhanced human. He's closer to being a mutant than he is to being half vampire, half human. Now let me explain that in case you guys didn't pass the class of sex education, so did you know. You have to be half of this human and half of that human to be half of anything. So since Blade's mom is not biologically impregnated by Deacon Frost, Blade does not have any real connection to vampires whatsoever biologically. Alright? Hopefully that's making sense to everybody who felt sex ed in the back. If you didn't pay attention to sex ed class in the back, then that just went all the way over your head, and I'm sorry. But to be a half-breed, I guess you might want to ask a half-breed like me. Yes, half-breed is not a very possible and plausible term, and I may have made you all upset, and I'm very fucking sorry for that. But how do you think I feel being called the half-breed for the bulk of my life by people who look just like me? Or people who call me unpure native? Or white people who said, you're half an N, and black people would go, you're half an H. Anyway, I know, irrelevant, nothing to do with Blade or any of that shit. But the simple fact is, to be half of something, one of your parents had to be something, and the other parent had to be something else. Which in Blade's case, that is not the case. Okay? It's kind of like, alright, the Minotaur. I'm pretty sure Zeus was his daddy. I'm not going to swear to it. But the Minotaur was half human and half bull. Because apparently, or actually, Zeus turned into a bull and had sex with a lady, or some shit in how the story goes, and the Minotaur was born, and somehow or another, I'm twisting the story up, but the Minotaur was born and wound up being put in a maze, and he was going around killing every goddamn body with godlike power and strength and rage and shit. So, for you all to think that Blade is half vampire, half human, I hate to burst your bubble, but he's not. He's more human than vampire. He's just more hybrid human. The same way Adam X is not so much mutant as he's half alien, half human. So he's a human-alien hybrid from the Shi'ar Empire. I use those two as examples because a lot of people, there are superheroes who are half monster or half something else. But people assume the two that I'm speaking of, Blade and Adam X, are half and half. Now, Adam X is half Shi'ar Empire. His daddy is the kin, and Adam X is a sexual assault baby. Although he is one of my favorite Summers brothers, just like Havoc, but Adam X wasn't meant to be here. He was brought into this world by force, not by course. And that's me putting it politely. Now, the other three Summers, Scott and Havoc were consensual. Adam X was not. Vulcan is also not Catherine Summers' kid, I think. No, he might actually be Catherine Summers' kid. I'm going to have to actually do research on that. So, I'm sorry, I may have mistaken there. But for the most part, Adam X is the only Summers kid that is not a Summers. Because he's only their half-brother from their mother, who was sexually assaulted by the kin. I'm pretty sure once Adam X found out that he wasn't supposed to be alive the way he was alive, which is probably why he betrayed the kin and decided to leave the Shi'ar Empire and found one of the Summers, like, I think it was Scott's granddaddy or something in Alaska. And I think he saved them, but I can't remember. I have to dig through the comics to find it, and then I can let you know. But it really doesn't matter because all that shit's been retconned by now. I don't even know if they still use the Adam X character. Hell, I don't know if they still use the Vulcan character. I know they still use the Summers characters. I think the next time I swing by Telegraph Arts and Comics, I will ask them if they still use Adam X in the comics, because I stopped reading comics in 2010 and 2008 because of the big fat retconning. In closing, just understand this. If you have a black dad and a white mom, or a white dad and a black mom, you're mixed. And that's how you become half this and half that. Blade is not half vampire. He is enhanced human. He has vampire capabilities. He has vampire strength. But he is not anywhere near vampire because neither one of his parents are vampires. Eric's dad was a human. He wasn't a vampire. Eric's mom was a human who got bit by a vampire while she was pregnant and outproduced Blade. The enzymes in Deacon Frost's teeth, or whatever vampires do, is what mutated Eric, aka Blade, to becoming the Daywalker. So basically, he might have been turning into a mutant regardless. He might have been a mutant, but because of the vampire attack, his whole biology got changed by blood. So that's how he became a vampire. or the Daywalker, where he can walk amongst the people of Earth and have more strength than the average person, more awareness, more keen sense, and things like that. So please do your research. But for those who are writing Blade or anything else, understand that Blade is not half vampire. He's enhanced human, but he is far from half vampire. And if you don't understand that, I just broke that down and explained it to y'all in this video. That being said, I'm Echo Fan Grey Wolf. This is Kung Fu Havoc number 2. Be seeing ya.